We are quiet out there right now, but we're tracking the potential for some strong to severe storms coming through this afternoon. We're going to walk through the latest on Futurecast and help you plan your day coming up.
Also, security is a top priority today as Vice President Kamala Harris visits the Sandhills. What we know about her 7th visit to North Carolina this year.
Plus, we're expecting to hear from former President Trump for the first time since he was shot on Saturday. What Trump is expected to talk about as he addresses the nation. That is a big story today. We'll have that coming up for you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your Thursday here as we get things rolling. Anthony said quiet out there right now. This is the changeover kind of area we're talking about. We've been talking about it for days. And Anthony Baglione in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with those areas of severe risk today.
Yeah, and it's interesting, guys, as you look outside right now, we have a lot of cloud cover across the majority of our viewing area. Anytime we see clouds and there is also a severe risk, it may help to lower that risk. We need some sunshine to kind of get fuel up into the atmosphere. That is something that we will watch today that could be a factor, at least, in where we end up later on. Nonetheless, where we sit right now, here's the latest risk from the Storm Prediction Center. We should get another update here in about under an hour or so. Level 2 risk, though, Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville, Greenville, New Bern as you head toward eastern North Carolina. What that's saying is we could see some strong to severe storms this afternoon between about 3 to 8 o'clock this evening. It's really that window that I'm focused on here. And you can see in Futurecast the next couple of hours, we're quiet. You have no worries here as far as the weather's concerned. We get to lunchtime looking pretty good, but it's these cells back to the west right there, how they develop as they get closer to us and potentially encounter what we're expecting is some sunshine to peek through. That will be kind of a key thing for us this afternoon. And then it starts to quiet down as we get closer to, let's say, 9 o'clock this evening and just some light leftover activity by about 11 o'clock tonight. It is still going to be hot, though. Temperatures right about 91, but that is where we should be for this time of the year. We're not talking 100-degree temps today. We will go over how our weekend should feel, Ken, coming up in just a few minutes.
Anthony, we're following some breaking news here in the WRAL Traffic Center, specifically out at RDU International Airport. We're getting an aircraft taking off right now. We're just getting reports of some type of rollover crash in the 1000 block of Rental Car Drive near Airport Boulevard. It's on the airport property. We're working to find out exactly what's going on. We have a crew on the way to the scene, and we'll let you know how it will affect your ability to get to either of the terminals there in RDU International. Elsewhere around the triangle this morning, we have a few incidents to bring to your attention this morning. This one on I-540 in the westbound lane. This is near Litchford Road. You can see the heavy backup that it's causing in that area. Let's give you a live look now at I-540. This is near Globe Road. Of course, the camera on Honeycutt Road near Litchford Road, that camera is out as part of a network of cameras, so we can't show you exactly where that crash is. But you can see the traffic is building there on I-540. I know many of you use that as an alternate route, but you can see the traffic is moving this morning. A couple of other incidents that we want to bring to your attention, really just disabled vehicles. Right now on Rock Quarry Road in the eastbound lane near Sanderford Road. Nothing that's really going to affect you this morning if you're coming out of Southeast Raleigh. This one is a bit of a head scratcher because really and truly we're told that the disabled vehicle is on Lake Wheeler proper and not necessarily on the Beltline, but you can see the major delays it's causing there. I'm going to keep an eye on that and see exactly what's going on and let you know how much it's going to affect your morning commute.
There's some relief here. Power has been restored for thousands of customers in Durham. This happened after a tree fell on some power lines near Briar Creek. This was a scene from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker earlier this morning as crews worked to remove the downed branches from the power lines. At one point, there were more than 4,000 customers without power. It's now down to about 24 customers.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Fayetteville for a campaign event, and there will be heightened security after the assassination attempt on former President Trump over the weekend. And WRAL's Destiny Patterson is in Fayetteville this morning. Destiny, this will be Harris's 7th trip to North Carolina this year and her 2nd in just the past week.
That's right. A busy season for the Biden-Harris campaign heading into the election this year. And I want to put this into perspective as she comes into town here today. It's still not exactly clear where she's going to be going. And when we've covered her in the past, we typically get those details in advance of those events. So that really speaks to the heightened security heading into today's event. We're told security will be up to local law enforcement and the Secret Service. The former police chief here in Fayetteville tells us that there will be snipers on rooftops as well as K-9 units and extra Fayetteville police officers patrolling the area.
In every case, both in Charlotte and in Fayetteville, we always positioned our police marksmen with a Secret Service marksman on high ground. That was a given.
Harris was just in Greensboro a week ago as the Biden-Harris campaign, again, like I mentioned, ramping up efforts to sway voters here in North Carolina. This also comes amid some calls for President Joe Biden to drop out of the race. Harris is seen by some as the likeliest person to inherit that spot on the Democratic ticket if that happens. Harris is expected to speak around 2 o'clock today and then scheduled to head out around 3. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Fayetteville.
And you can count on WRAL for coverage of the vice president's visit all day. We'll have live coverage of her speech today on WRAL.com and WRAL News Plus.
Meantime, this is a live look in Milwaukee, where the Republican National Convention will wrap up tonight. Former President Donald Trump will be taking center stage. It'll be the first time Trump has addressed the nation since surviving an assassination attempt 5 days ago. He's expected to lay out his argument for why he should be given a second term in the White House. Trump's son Eric is also expected to speak, as well as former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
And the third night of the Republican National Convention provided a chance for J.D. Vance to introduce himself to voters. The senator from Ohio took the stage last night as he officially accepted his nomination as vice president. The 39-year-old is the first millennial on a major party ticket. He grew up in rural poverty and served as a Marine before being elected to Senate. In his speech, he championed Donald Trump's America First approach. He also branded President Joe Biden as a career politician.
For half a century, he's been the champion of every major policy initiative to make America weaker and poorer. And in 4 short years, Donald Trump reversed decades of betrayals inflicted by Joe Biden and the rest of the corrupt Washington insiders.
The Biden campaign is painting Vance as extreme because of his stances on issues including abortion and the Affordable Care Act. And you can find a full list of who will be speaking on the final day of the RNC on WRAL.com.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told President Biden he can't win the 2024 election. This was all in a private phone conversation. That's according to several sources who were briefed on that talk. Pelosi raised concerns that Biden's campaign could lose Democratic control of the House. The president pushed back, telling Pelosi he's seen the polls that show he can win.
A Chapel Hill man accused of killing another man on Ashley Forest Road is due to make his first court appearance today. WRAL's cameras were rolling as police detained 45-year-old Mario Thompson yesterday. He is charged with murder and the shooting death of 37-year-old Adam Abdur-Rahman. The shooting happened just after 1 o'clock yesterday morning. Thompson is also accused of shooting into another person's home.
And Michelle, not the only instance of shots fired in Chapel Hill Wednesday. Police arrested 37-year-old Anthony Tyson after they say he fired shots into the air on Franklin Street. Authorities say that shooting started after an argument escalated. No one was hurt, but people who work nearby say it was a pretty scary thing to have happen in such a busy area.
Definitely a little unnerving, especially with like all the street and foot traffic. I mean, you see a big police presence here in Chapel Hill, so it's definitely not something that's very common around here.
Chapel Hill's police chief responded to the gun violence, saying a deadly shooting on Ashley Forest Road this morning and the shots fired on Franklin Street are difficult reminders that gun violence affects everyone and we will not tolerate it. Our hearts are with the loved ones and community members affected by this violence.
Covering Wake County, a major project breaks ground in Raleigh's 5 Points neighborhood this afternoon. The Oaks at Whitaker Glen is an active senior living community that has been in the works for several years. It's being built on East Whitaker Mill Road. Today's groundbreaking is scheduled for 4 p.m.
We're coming up on 10 after 8, and the final preparations are underway in Paris. The Summer Games kick off in 8 days. Ahead, the work being done by thousands of French soldiers to secure that city.
And a man is recovering after a shark mistook him for the fish he was reeling in. How he was able to fend off the attack in Florida's Key West. Anthony.
Hi, Michelle, as we get a check on temperatures here across the area, we're close to 80 in many locations, not quite there. 72, a little bit cooler than Roxborough. We're going to talk about, though, how it feels going through the rest of today and look at our severe storm chances coming up after this break. Welcome back. It is 8:13 here on this Thursday morning, where we are starting off with some cloud cover across the area, but some sun is trying to peek through. You can see our beautiful Southern Pines camera right there, out and about enjoying a nice morning. It is humid across the area, but we're really not too bad for where we could be and what we have seen so far this summer. Today, in and of itself, probably about 91 this afternoon. It feels like temperatures, though, still in the low 100s. So that's going to be something we have today, and it progressively gets better into the weekend. Where we sit right now, actual air temperature wise, 78 in Raleigh, 78 in Durham. It feels like these values currently, but it's definitely muggy. Our humidity meter is squarely in the tropical category, and that's going to stay like that here through the weekend. 91 though this afternoon, and then you see the storm chances starting to light up the map there as we get probably after lunchtime. We are outlined at this point in a strong to severe storm risk from the Storm Prediction Center. They're based out in Norman, Oklahoma, and what they do is they look at all the ingredients in the atmosphere, kind of a generalized forecast, if you will, and they pass that along to us, and we can kind of coordinate that and put that out to the public. There's a look, I think, from the timing wise, 3 to 8 p.m. That's when I've looked kind of at the models and seen, I think that's the best timing for when this could come in. Level 2 risk, I know those colors sometimes can get a little bit confusing, but what it's saying is we could see some isolated strong to severe storms. Not everyone will see that potential, but where they happen and where they're able to get going, they could be a little bit on the stronger side. So that's what that's saying. Here's a look at Futurecast for the next couple of hours. You see, we're good to go. Lunchtime's looking fine. If you want to get out and go for a walk or just take a break from work, you should be good to go. A mix of sun and clouds at that point, but then we get into later on this afternoon, right about 3 o'clock. I'm going to pause this there. You see some of those trying to get a little bit more active. They come on through, and then that evening commute, I think, could be messy for some of us across the area, and it gets to our south by the time we get later on tonight. So it's all said and done by about 10 o'clock this evening. And then as we get into tomorrow, the next couple of days, we will still hang on to storm chances, but I don't think at this point we're going to see severe storms. That potential is squarely focused on today at the moment. Only day, though, here over the next 7 in the 90s. We're at 91 today, 88 tomorrow, 87 on Saturday, kind of going up and down here for the next week or so. It does come with those rain chances really lasting through next week. So that's going to be something we're watching. We need some more rainfall, and I do think we will get it here into the middle to late part of next weekend.
All right, Anthony, we continue to follow breaking news out at RDU International. We're getting reports of a crash on the 1000 block of Rental Car Drive near Airport Boulevard. This is on the airport's property. RDU Security is handling it. We have a crew on the way to the scene. We're hearing that it's some type of rollover crash involving a van. We're working to find out exactly what's going on, and we'll let you know if this is going to affect your ability to get to either of the terminals there at RDU International this morning. Checking our live traffic sensors this morning, just a few incidents we want to bring to your attention just in case you're getting ready to head out. Nothing major, really. This crash on I-540 in the westbound lanes near Litchford Road, probably in the clearing phase right now. Just a little while ago, we're seeing a lot of yellow on the map, which means there was a bit of a slowdown there, but that's beginning to clear up quite a bit. So that's good news for you if you're heading out this morning. A couple of disabled vehicles. This one right now on Quarry Road and Sandersford Road, not causing any problems in that area to worry about. And this other disabled vehicle on Lake Wheeler Road, what you're seeing on the Beltline, that's just the usual morning congestion. So let's keep that in mind. Give yourself some extra time if you're heading out this morning.
City Council member Corey Branch is talking more about his decision to drop out of the Raleigh mayoral race. Branch announced that he was running to be mayor last fall. And yesterday, days before the filing deadline, Branch said he has decided not to run so that he could focus on his district.
Since my initial announcement, my life has changed. And I also heard from a number of constituents who told me how much they valued what I brought to the city of Raleigh in District C, and they felt my continued service inside the district outweighed the opportunity to serve as mayor.
And Branch went on to say he will seek re-election for his District C council seat. 4 candidates now remain in Raleigh's mayoral race.
People who knew and loved the man who died during the assassination attempt on former President Trump are remembering him now. Hundreds gathered in Butler County, Pennsylvania last night for a vigil honoring Corey Compertor. He died while protecting his daughter during the shooting at Saturday's rally. Compertor was a former volunteer fire chief. A GoFundMe page to raise money for his family has drawn more than $1.25 million so far in donations.
Police in Milwaukee say an armed man arrested near the Republican National Convention was also carrying ammunition and a mask from the movie Scream. Law enforcement says 21-year-old Donnell Tinsley had a concealed AK-47 pistol and a large tactical backpack when officers arrested him on Monday. They say that he was wearing a ski mask and was also carrying a flashlight, spray paint, and other items along with the ammo and mask. They say they don't know why he was carrying all those things.
The group of UNC fraternity brothers who guarded the American flag during a pro-Palestinian protest on campus earlier this year were celebrated at the Republican National Convention. Those brothers from Pi Kappa Phi fraternity were honored on the convention floor in Milwaukee. They were among 24 people and groups described as everyday Americans who were invited to speak during the convention.
The maker of John Deere farm equipment is scaling back its diversity policies. Deere & Company says it will no longer participate or support external social or cultural awareness parades, festivals, or events. It says it will also examine its training materials and policies to ensure there are no socially motivated messages while being in compliance with the law. Deere says the changes are based on the company's commitment to responding to customer opinion. Last month, Tractor Supply cut back its DEI programs. And Instagram is letting researchers test its impact on teen mental health. The social media platform's parent company, Meta, says it will give a group of researchers access users' data for up to 6 months. The data may include how many accounts teen users follow, how often they're on Instagram, and what account settings they use. It's part of a pilot program with the Center for Open Science, who must get permission from the teens and their parents for these studies.
The countdown to the Paris Summer Olympic Games is ticking down now, just 8 days away for us. Security measures in the city are amping up, with French military crews patrolling the area. Kevin Uritsky takes a look at the preparations.
With the Summer Olympics quickly approaching, the French military is ramping up security measures throughout Paris to protect athletes and spectators. Heavily armed teams are busy patrolling the River Seine. Unlike many other opening ceremonies of Olympics past, which have been held inside stadiums, the Seine is set to be the stage for this year's festivities, with roughly 10,000 athletes expected to float down the historic waterway on boats on July 26th. Military officers citing the intensity of serving in this type of setting.
This mission is complex and unprecedented. Complex because we are in an environment, Paris, the Seine, the urban area. There are vulnerabilities on our perimeter. The Seine is an area with a lot of activities.
Crews are also focused on ensuring safety beneath the waves.
We have deployed sonars on the bottom of the Seine. We have permanent screen copies in the command posts. We have nautical barriers.
On land, French armed forces have built a massive camp for 4,500 soldiers in the southeast of Paris.
Ready to intervene on short notice and rush wherever in Paris.
But in the digital age, technology experts say it's critical. Cybersecurity is another top concern for both the games and surrounding infrastructure.
Protecting the timing, the records, the registration of the athletes, the scheduling of events, things like electric power, transportation, civil defense.
That was Kevin Uretsky reporting, and WRAL is your home for the Paris Summer Olympic Games. We've got you covered all the way through it. Live coverage July 26th to August 11th on WRAL, and look for live reports from Paris throughout the competition, 6 a.m., 6 p.m., and 11 p.m.
Millions of taxpayer dollars spent on studies and consultants for projects that went nowhere.
What happened? What happened to the money? Where did it go? What did we invest it on?
From light rail to unmet predictions for a huge economic driver down east, WRAL investigates government investments with little or no return and what our elected leaders are doing to make sure they spend our money more wisely in the future. That's tonight at 6.
A man is recovering in the hospital after a shark attack in Key West, Florida. 37-year-old Jose Abreu was bringing a catch onto the boat Monday when an 8-foot bull shark tried to get the fish he had caught. But instead, it bit him twice in the leg, once in the shoulder. The victim says a friend was able to fight that shark off as they pulled Abreu to safety.
You don't have time to scare. Only you need to try to escape to the shark. it's the only option.
Yeah, it is. Abreu is grateful he survived and grateful his friend jumped into action to save his life.
Security for major political figures is a top priority after the assassination attempt on former President Trump. What Fayetteville officials are doing to ensure VP Harris's trip to the area today is safe and secure.
Plus, a new report looks into women's health care state by state. We'll tell you where North Carolina stands in the rankings.
Safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. It is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione is following that for us. And when we could see all of that rain, Anthony.
Michelle, it looks like most of that would be here closer to about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Let's say 3 to 8 o'clock for any and all severe risk for us today. We're going to see temperatures, too, right about where we should be for this time of the year. 91, that should add some instability to the atmosphere. I will say, though, looking outside right now, there is a lot of cloud cover in place. So that may be a saving grace for us as far as limiting our severe potential. And we still, though, nonetheless have that level 2 risk out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center. Some isolated strong to severe storms, though, are still possible for us today. It looks like our greatest concern would be some gusty winds. There are some areas that could see, if you know your area floods, flash flooding is a potential, and then pretty low threats there for hail and any and all tornadoes. If that changes, we will let you know, but a quiet start so far right now this morning.
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, Anthony. We just got reports of a crash on I-540. It just happened in the last 10 minutes or so. I'll have an update for you at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50. Things have definitely picked up around the Beltline this morning. We're also told there's a crash on I-440 eastbound near Capitol Boulevard. I'll let you know how that's going to affect your morning commute over on Fox 50 as well. In Durham, in both directions of I-885, the Durham Freeway, traffic has picked up a bit, maybe adding 3 to 5 minutes to your morning commute.
Thanks, Ken. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris will visit Fayetteville for a campaign event. Security will be tight following Saturday's attempted assassination on former President Trump. You can count on WRAL for coverage of the VP's visit all day. We'll have live coverage of her speech on WRAL.com and WRAL News Plus. Next on Fox 50, the latest developments after a Little League coach got into a fight with an umpire.
As we head through our Thursday, we're tracking the potential for some showers and storms. Some of those could be a little bit stronger, too. We're going to outline this level 2 risk from the Storm Prediction Center coming up.
Vice President Kamala Harris is coming to Fayetteville. Coming up, what we know about her 7th visit to the state this year.
Plus, former President Trump will address the nation for the first time since his assassination attempt this weekend. What he is expected to speak about a day after his running mate took the stage. 8:30 is the time right now on your Thursday morning as we welcome you inside our WRAL studio for this Weather Alert Day. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, we got to talk about the Weather Alert Day. A lot of us going to see that rain. We need that rain. We've gone through such a dry spell.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it, but it's calm right now. We're not going to see it until a little bit later. Anthony Baglione in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with more details of this severe risk.
Yeah, I will say if you walk outside here in the next couple of hours and we start to see more sunshine peeking through, that would not be a great thing because it may lend itself to kind of enhance our severe risk, if you will. But where we sit right now, this is outlined from the Storm Prediction Center, that most of our viewing area is in a level 2 out of 5 risk. What that's saying is we could see some isolated strong to severe storms this afternoon with some damaging wind gusts and maybe some lightning, kind of what you think of with some thunderstorms that are a little bit potent coming through. Here's Futurecast, so let's time this out. So doing a pretty good job of showing where we sit right now. I do think we should see some sunshine getting through. That will act as some fuel to get things potentially going ahead of a cold front. There's lunchtime. We're still quiet at that point. The front itself, though, adds as is a mechanism in the atmosphere where we can get showers and storms to kind of push up into the atmosphere, cool and condense. And this is the result we're left with here. Some of these could be a little bit potent between about 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock this evening. That's that time period where I'm looking at the best potential for some strong storms. By the time we get after the sun goes down here into tonight, everything should start to fizzle out and we should be pretty quiet here overall. And then into the weekend, we have a little bit more storm chances on the way. There's all that cloud cover out there right now, though. We will show you if we have all of these clouds and some rain chances for the weekend, Ken, coming up here in a few minutes.
All right, Anthony, we want to update some breaking news we've been following at RD International. We told you about some type of crash involving a couple of vehicles out at RD International. It's on the 1000 block of Rental Car Drive near Airport Boulevard. We just got an update from our crew on the scene. It's really in the clearing phase, not causing any major impacts for you if you're trying to get to RD International on either of those terminals there. So that's good to know this morning. You're free to go to the airport, nothing to worry about. There's a situation happening on I-440 eastbound near Capitol Boulevard. There's a situation we've been trying to figure out. We've got our calls into our friends at Raleigh Wake 911 to figure out exactly what's going on. We're told there's some type of crash in that area, but we want to know how many vehicles were involved. You see about 3 or 4 vehicles there, but we're not sure if they were actually involved in that crash. As soon as we know what's going on, we'll let you know. But you can see traffic is causing quite a bit of a slowdown in that area. So if you're heading out to the Beltline this morning and you do take that northern side of the Beltline, keep that in mind. You're going to run into a little bit of a slowdown this morning. But a couple of things to tell you about. This one is on I-540 in westbound lane there, Town Boulevard. It's causing quite a bit of brake tapping. I would recommend just using Highway 70 as an alternate east-west route to avoid I-540 right now, because I know that's part of a lot of you use this morning. Disabled vehicle on Lake Wheeler Road on I-440 westbound, not causing any problems anymore. A little while ago, that was bumper-to-bumper traffic.
All right, thanks, Ken. Power is restored for thousands of customers in Durham after a tree fell on the lines near Briar Creek. This was the scene from the WRAL breaking news tracker earlier this morning as crews worked to remove the down branch from the power lines. At one point, more than 4,000 customers were without power, and now there's only a couple people without power.
In just a few hours, Vice President Kamala Harris will make her 7th visit to North Carolina this year, her 2nd in just a week. She'll be in Fayetteville for a campaign event as the Biden campaign focuses on our state. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is in Fayetteville this morning, and security, Destiny, we know it will be tight coming off of the attempted assassination of President Trump at his rally Saturday.
Jeff, I really want to put this into perspective here. Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to get into North Carolina at the Pope Army Airfield just before 1 o'clock. And that's about 12 miles from where we are here in Fayetteville. But the location and the details around her visit, her team has been very tight-lipped about. And that really speaks to those security concerns and the efforts to keep things very secure and safe during today's event following that attempted assassination attempt. We talked to the former police chief here in Fayetteville, and he tells us that there will be snipers as well as K-9 units and extra Fayetteville police officers patrolling the area.
Chief Braden and the Fayetteville Police Department, and I'm sure the Sheriff's Office and the North Carolina Highway Patrol are all over this to make sure that it's safe and secure and that they can have a good visit. And then again, to make sure that the city, remains open for business.
Harris was just in Greensboro a week ago as the Biden-Harris campaign has ramped up their efforts to sway voters here in North Carolina. This also comes amid some calls for President Joe Biden to drop out of the race. Harris is seen by some as the likeliest person to inherit that spot on the Democratic ticket if that happens. Harris is expected to speak around 2 o'clock and head out around 3. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Fayetteville.
Count on WRAL for coverage of the vice president's visit all day. We have live coverage of her speech today on WRAL.com and WRAL News Plus.
Former President Donald Trump will address the nation tonight for the first time since nearly being assassinated at a rally over the weekend. His speech will wrap up the 4-day Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Trump is expected to talk about the party's proposed policies on border security, the economy, and also foreign policy as well. Renee Chu has more on what you can expect today from the WRAL Live Center. Renee.
Michelle, former President Trump is expected to use his acceptance speech to make a plea for national unity. He has told the Washington Examiner that he has completely rewritten his acceptance speech in the wake of Saturday's shooting. This is video of the former president checking out the National Convention stage yesterday in Milwaukee. Strategists view the Republican National Convention address as a unique opportunity to redefine the former president as more palatable to moderate voters. His wife Melania and daughter Ivanka Ivanka are expected to attend tonight. You may remember they spoke at the previous two conventions, but they are not expected to make any public remarks tonight. Trump's moment of survival has shaped the week. How he approaches this acceptance speech will certainly be closely watched.
All right, thanks, Renee. And J.D. Vance is introducing himself to the nation. The senator from Ohio took the stage last night at the Republican National Convention as he officially accepted his nomination as vice president. The 39-year-old is the first millennial on a major party ticket. In his speech, he made a forceful case for the America First approach that Trump championed when he was in office.
And if this movement of ours is going to succeed, and if this country is going to thrive, our leaders have to remember that America is a nation and its citizens deserve leaders who put its interests first.
Vance also highlighted his upbringing. He grew up in poverty in rural Ohio. He called it a place that had been cast aside and forgotten by America's ruling class in Washington.
The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality is installing more fencing around 5 playgrounds in Durham after lead and other contaminants were found in soil tests. Crews will begin by putting up fencing at East Durham Park today. They'll continue their work at East End Park tomorrow, and then Lyon Park, Walltown Park, and Northgate Park will have fencing installed next week. All 5 playgrounds have been closed since April. The fencing is meant to keep people out while those environmental experts continue their testing. A date for reopening has not yet been determined.
A Chapel Hill man accused of killing another man on Ashley Forest Road is due to make his first court appearance later today. WRAL's cameras were rolling as police detained 45-year-old Mario Thompson yesterday. He's charged with murder in the shooting death of 37-year-old Adam Abdur-Rahman. The shooting happened just after 1 o'clock yesterday morning. Thompson is also accused of shooting into another person's home. William Rankin showed WRAL where the bullets hit his home.
It went here in the wall, and it bounced off and it landed right here in front of my door.
Thompson is being held without bond. His court appearance is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon. And that wasn't the only instance of shots fired in Chapel Hill on Wednesday. Police arrested 37-year-old Anthony Tyson after they say he fired shots into the air on Franklin Street. Authorities say the shooting started after an argument escalated. Nobody was hurt.
Covering Wake County, the traditional school calendar will start soon, and the Wake County Salvation Army is worried they don't have enough school supplies for kids who need them. Volunteers have been collecting supplies like backpacks, notebooks, pencils, and paper. But so far, donations have been coming in slower than normal. The children they serve mostly live in low-income homes or are experiencing homelessness.
What we try to do is make sure that we supply those school supplies for them, especially new. We don't want to give them old school supplies from like our thrift stores. We want to make sure we supply them with new school supplies so they can have a successful school year despite their living situation.
Charmaine Joyner is with the Red Cross there, and she said, or Salvation Army, I should say, and she says that if necessary, they can pick up donations from homes or businesses. The Salvation Army Center of Hope is located at 1863 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh.
President Biden is isolating at home in Delaware after testing positive for COVID. Biden tested positive while campaigning in Nevada. He posted on social media that he is feeling good and thanking everyone for their well wishes. The president's doctor said that Biden was experiencing mild symptoms and had received his first dose of Paxlovid.
Coming up here, the moment a 10-year-old bravely saved the day by hopping in the driver's seat of a truck on the interstate.
Plus, one of the most complete dinosaur skeletons ever just sold at auction. Just ahead, the Stegosaurus fossil that sold for more than $44 million.
And we'll give you this live look over Roxborough. Quite cloudy on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. After the break, meteorologist Anthony Baglione will tell us when storms and potentially damaging winds are expected to roll in.
Welcome back. You're taking a live look over Wilson, a cloudy Wilson this morning. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Lots of us cloudy right now. We're not seeing any rain yet, but that rain could push in later on today. It is a WRAL Weather Alert Day for the risk of some severe storms, Anthony.
Yeah, especially as we get closer to about 3 o'clock this afternoon, Michelle. That's like the time frame, I think, between about 3 to 8 where we may start to see some of these bubbling up. I will say, though, looking out there right now with this cloud cover across the majority of our viewing area. Not everyone's seeing straight cloud cover. There's some sunshine trying to peek through. But this is a good thing when we see a severe weather potential kind of day to have the cloud cover hang around as long as it can, because it tends to limit, as far as the storm fuel is concerned, how much we can get going and pretty fast, if you will. So that could be a good thing for us out there right now. Upper 70s is where we currently sit temperature-wise, 76 in Clinton. It feels about those temperatures. It is muggy, and we're going to continue to climb to right about 91 today. But that is going to be different than the 100s that we had a streak of here with our forecasts over the previous couple of days. 91 by the time we get to about 3 o'clock, and then we get some scattered storms coming in. That may tend to drop those temperatures as we go into this evening and tonight. Let's time this out, though, on Futurecast. So we leave it on the viewing area, kind of view for you over the next couple of hours. Looking pretty quiet. We go to lunchtime. We're still good to go at that point. I think we will see at least some sunshine trying to peek through. I don't think it'll be totally straight cloudy, but then there is 3 o'clock this afternoon where you see some of those cells trying to bubble up there. We get going into the afternoon, the peak heating there. There's 5 o'clock closer to the evening commute. I do think it could be kind of messy across the area at that time period. And then things start to settle down as we get later on into tonight. There's a look at 11 o'clock. Most of that rainfall has pushed to the south and east, and any and all severe potential would be done at that point. So 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that's where we have that level 2 out of 5 risk from the Storm Prediction Center. We should get another update here from them anytime, and I don't expect any big changes or tweaks. They may shift the placement of that around just a little bit, but for the majority of us, that's what we're looking at here through today. Damaging wind gusts would be our primary threat. I think if you have some areas that tend to flood, we could see some localized flooding. Any and all hail and tornado threat remains very low for us right now. Over the next 7, though, 91. That's the only 90-degree temperature we have in the forecast at this point. So that's going to be saying something. A little bit of a different air mass for us. 88 tomorrow, 87 on Saturday. Scattered storm chances do stick with us through the weekend. Not a total washout at this point, but guys, we need that rainfall, and it looks like it will hang around into next week.
Gotcha, Anthony. Thanks. There's a new report this morning that ranks North Carolina in the bottom half of states for women's health. That report is released this morning by the Commonwealth Fund that ranks North Carolina tied for 31st in women's health and reproductive care. Researchers use metrics including maternal and infant mortality, preterm birth rates, breast and cervical cancer deaths, and poor mental health. States in the Northeast performed best, while many states in the South are at the bottom. Today, a Little League board of directors in the western part of the state will talk about what punishment, if any, the coach involved in a fight on a Wilson baseball diamond could face. Video shows the coach from Cherryville brawling with an umpire during a game Monday night. WRAL spoke with another coach who tried to break up the fight, and he says it started when the umpire ejected the coach for ignoring him on the field. After that, the coach cursed, and he says that's when the umpire made an inappropriate comment and the coach shoved him. You see the two going at it here. The parents in the community say adults need to be better behaved, especially when working around children.
I understand that people get heated, especially when kids are involved, especially when it's their kids involved. But that seemed like two grown men fighting at a bar, not at a baseball game.
We got a statement from the Bull City Little League, whose team was playing Cherryville at the time, and they were not involved in the fight. It said, quote, "Those kinds of actions undermine the value of youth sports. We could not be more proud of our own players, coaches, families, and fans for representing Bull City Little League with the utmost integrity."
Greensboro police say 3 teenagers are dead and an officer seriously injured after a high-speed chase. This is video from the scene Wednesday morning. Police say an officer spotted a car driving the wrong way on a road around 2:15 in the morning and tried to pull the driver over. The driver sped away, and that's when a chase began. The driver then crashed into the responding patrol cars. 2 14-year-old boys and a 15-year-old boy were in the suspect vehicle. All 3 died. The officer was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police say they suspect the driver was impaired.
The remains of a local seaman killed in the attack on Pearl Harbor will return to North Carolina this evening. Seaman Joseph Rouse was listed as missing in action for 79 years until the military was able to confirm his identity 3 years ago. And this evening, he'll be flown to RDU to be received by his living relatives, who will lay him to rest here in North Carolina. The family will hold a memorial for Seaman Rouse this Saturday in Zebulon.
Authorities in central Arkansas are asking people to stay alert as a flash flooding risk continues there. Flooding yesterday forced road closures in the city of Conway. Some drivers had to be rescued when their cars got stuck in the water. The city got about 6 inches of rain in a few hours. Local officials say it's the worst flooding there in nearly a decade.
A Georgia 10-year-old is recognized for his bravery and quick thinking.
I pulled him over on the side of the road. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I pulled him over on the side of the road. We're at the sign that says Recycle Lafayette, and it's exit 320. We're right at exit 320.
Drake Lynn's grandfather had a diabetic episode while driving down the interstate, and Drake was able to grab the steering wheel and drive the two to safety. They're traveling about 70 miles an hour and towing a boat. Their local sheriff's office recognized Drake for his bravery, and his family says Drake was confident behind the wheel because of his work on their farm. It's a great call right there. We have a look at a best-selling book turned film and a comedy series that's set to return. Ashley Dvorkin with the Hollywood Nation.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to help my community when the time comes.
A book-to-screen first look, Rudolph's renewal, and cue the country music in today's Hollywood Nation.
And revolver at the end, please.
A date and venue has been set for the milestone 60th anniversary of the Academy of Country Music Awards. The event will take place May 8th, 2025, from the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. 16-time ACM award-winning country music icon Reba McEntire will return as host.
She sent me a PDF. What is that?
That's violence. That's what it is.
The Apple TV Plus series Loot has banked another season. The streamer announced the workplace comedy will return for season 3. Starring and executive produced by Maya Rudolph. The show follows a divorced billionaire focusing on her new life journey, including by running a foundation she forgot she had.
The jury finds the defendant, Robert E. Douglas, guilty.
In today's First Looks is Rob Peace, directed, adapted by, and starring Chiwetel Ejiofor. Based on the best-selling book, the film follows the true story of a young man torn between his father's shadowed past and his own promising future, risking everything he's worked for to free his imprisoned father. Mary J. Blige and Camila Cabello also star. Rob Peace is in theaters August 16th.
The best thing you could do for your daddy is to keep being brilliant.
The famous Apollo Theater in New York is among the 47th class of the Kennedy Center honorees just announced. Apollo CEO told the Washington Post about how the honor was not expected since artists received the award, but then said the Apollo is an iconic stage for artists. So it's the first theater ever honored by the Kennedy Center, along with filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola, blues rock star Bonnie Raitt, Cuban-American trumpeter Arturo Sandoval, and the band Grateful Dead. The Kennedy Center honor ceremony will be December 8th. The largest and most complete Stegosaurus fossil just sold at auction, and it's the most expensive, too. This is Apex. She just sold at auction for $44.6 million, and that's a lot more than the previous record holder, a T-Rex, who fetched nearly $32 million. 254 of Apex's 319 bones are real fossils. The rest were 3D printed or sculpted. She's 11 feet tall and nearly 27 feet long. It's not known who submitted the winning bid or if they plan to display Apex publicly.
Headed off to break with your winning lottery numbers here. We'll get another check on weather and traffic next.